Alright guys, so today's test video thing, we've got scales, we've got a bunch of products, and we're going to run them through the hammer mill and see whether it's viable to hammer mill something like this to turn it from domestic sheet into granules so that we can actually melt it, because we have furnaces and we have a hammer mill. So I can get quite a premium on the bars that I melt very quick and easily. So we'll just go off the price that I can get for this piece of domestic at the moment on the typical market rates, which the beauty of these scales is we can actually punch in the rates. So was it $8.25 for domestic?
$8.35.
$8.35. Oh. 8.35. Okay, so this will straight up tell us our value of said thing. So it's 350 grams. So it's $2.92. Now, if we grab a calculator, so if we just go with a round figure of about $50 a kilo that we can kind of get at market rate for the bars, that equals $17.50 as opposed to $2.95. So if we can make that into the granules quick and easily and then melt it into a bar, yes, we're spending money and time on doing said things, but we're also selling bars to people who can stack them up, keep them and enjoy them. So let's just see what the hammer mill does when we feed it to it. Okay, so here's hammer mill. There's cleaned out receptacle bucket. It's pretty clean in there. I ran it for a while because we're about to do another video test with aluminium copper radiators, so look out for that one as well. But first things first, let's fire up the mill. All that electric start goodness. Okay, now something I didn't mention, I probably should have to you guys, is anything that comes out of there that is copper is hot, extremely hot, just so you know. The little pellets and stuff that shoot out, they're on fire. And I reckon there's a whole heap still in there. It doesn't seem to want to go through the screen. Let's have a look at the screen. Low enough to see it. There's the screen. We got very little in our bucket. You can see it's been pulping up pieces, but it hasn't really pushed them all through. I think they're all doing the rotating in there. I don't think they're actually wanting eggs at the building at this stage. You see the kind of pellets I'm talking about that it's turned them into. So in the bottom of there, I'm going to say, hot tip for the professional, don't put your hand in the hammer mill when it's running, but you can do it when it's like this. I cannot see very much copper at all. So it is certainly capable of busting it up. So if you wanted to do a full-blown production run, maybe with the 20mm screen, it certainly wouldn't be an issue. We would have lost a bit out the backside. I'm going to vacuum this up, suck up all the stuff and pan it off so we can get rid of the rubbish in it. You can see some of these are real thick blobs. I reckon a lot of those, yeah, that one's warm. I reckon a lot of those would have happened before I managed to pull the cover up over the discharge chute. They are heavy. Well, it was only 350 grams. So even the powder that's in the bottom of that bucket would weigh a significant amount smashed up into powder. But yeah, you can see the sheet's just been absolutely demolished there. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason when we go to the 4mm screen that I've been drilling, we can't just pulverise this kind of stuff. I think this mill's more than capable of just running that kind of product for long periods of time. Before I actually turned the mill on, I just ran it for a while this morning because all of this was still in it. This is kind of the particle size that we're getting down to, this kind of fines. It's copper and steel mixed together. You can quite easily break up, they just rust together. A few pieces of PCB that didn't get annihilated enough. Very easy to see what kind of wire that was. And some of these little pieces are gold, so when you look at the ones that have got big cracks and that in them, most of the time they're going to be brass. But that's a gold plated pin. But we're going to have to find someone with an XRF gun so we can start testing these kinds of things, because what will happen is the copper will separate from the gold when it gets hit by the hammer mill, and then they'll ball up into pieces. So some of it will be brass, some of it will be copper, some of it will be gold. There's no denying that it can be gold. These pieces are tiny, they weigh nothing, so they're not crazy valuable until we get quantity. You can quite easily see the aluminium. And this is before we put water on it, so when we go and put the this product in the gold pan, it's very easy to get huge quantities of copper come off. So most of this table is caked in copper. Yeah, well, I've got another video we'll make in a minute about doing a aluminium copper radiator. See how well it separates. I'm going to have to run the mill for another 10 minutes, I suppose, to see what comes out the bottom. So I'll add that on the end of here, and yeah, we'll test an aluminium copper radiator. But yeah, the separation is certainly undeniable once this shaker table's in operation. I need a different motor. I put this one on, this one came on it, and that was alright. We could turn it over, but it's 3-phase, so it's no good. And it's only 1400 RPM. I put a 2800 RPM on, and that's no good. It's too fast and the motor goes out on overload. It needs too much power. So I've got to buy a 1400. So if anyone knows a good place to buy a 1400 RPM motor, let me know. Otherwise I reckon I'll get one off eBay. If anyone's bought an eBay motor and they were rubbish, let me know as well. Yeah, we'll run the mill and I'll be back. Here I've trimmed the metal plate off. Still going to have an Inconel cord in the center of it with ceramic around it, I believe, but we'll throw that in, see what happens while we're doing this. Okay, so I'm starting to think that's the only reason I've been getting so much copper come through wet doing this process is because it doesn't heat up, and it's heating up and binding on the screen down the bottom there. So we're going to have to change the screen out. I'm going to step it up to the 20mm one, and even if we've got to put it through a couple of times, it doesn't matter so much. These little magnetic bits there, because I did some hard drives, so there's little magnetic chunks stuck to my thing because a couple of hard drive magnets went through there, the neodymiums. Yeah, I'm going to get a 10mm screed made, I reckon. I've got an engineering shop literally over my back fence, so they're very keen to see what we can do. But next time we do something, we'll do some ACRs, but we're going to put that screen in. We'll use the big one and see what happens with that. But yeah, for now, instead of wasting diesel to make real fine dust, we'll call it there. But next video we'll put the 20mm screen in there and process some aluminium copper radiators that I've got sitting here, because the price of them for some reason just took a dive by over $1 a kilo. They were $4.40 something. They're down $3.31, so $3.30, so not real happy about that. As you can see, the magnets catch to all the metallic stuff. Yeah, I'll catch us on the next video with the mill.